Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. At the time of recording this video, AMC stock is $8 per share, up 3.77% at the time of recording this video. Now, obviously, things can change. The situation can evolve. We know this. You and I both know this. In the course of just a couple of minutes, you could go up a lot, you could go down a lot, but point in being, you are above $8 per share. If we hold this level into after hours and into the end of the trading day, that is very, very bullish, and I would be a lot more excited for next week. Now, I'm already excited for next week, but we're going to go over everything you need to know here in this video. The looming potential government shutdown as well could have big implications on the markets. Usually it doesn't, but this time around it could be very important. So we got a lot to cover in a very short amount of time. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section, guys. So first things first, let's run through some of the Ortex data. I want to give you guys that first. We're going to look at the FTDs. We're going to go over everything else. Let's run through this data first. Keep in mind, take it with a grain of salt. The only reason we still go through it is because we have for over 2 years now, so why stop a good tradition now? Short score, 68. $190.11 million worth of short positions currently on AMC stock. Estimated short interest of free float of 12.48%. Free float out on loan at 13.11%. Shares out on loan 25.93 million. Days to cover 1.96. Cost to borrow 6.34%. And utilization of 59.46%. So you do have some very false numbers here, let's be honest. Even Ortex's estimate currently is 12.87% short interest of free float, with 25.44 million shares that are currently sold short. The last official short interest report that we did have, there was 23.21 million shares sold short. This exchange reported short interest number was basically an account for $33 per share down to about $13 per share. Your last couple of dollars here on AMC stock likely were heavily shorted or had a big influence because it was a area that was being heavily shorted. Now, today, you're probably at about 30 million shares sold short. That would be my estimate. So it looks like Ortex's estimates are far, far off. And 13% short interest is really just a joke at this point. You're obviously much higher than that. Now, if you look at the cost of borrow fees from Interactive Brokers about 3.5%. Cost of borrow average 4.5%. Cost of borrow max 7.26%, and the cost of borrow minimum at 3.5%. So relatively low cost of borrow fees here. But guys, take a look at the chart of AMC. You're hanging out down here. There's basically been no upside volatility at all. That could soon change, but there's basically been no upside volatility, so why in the world would you charge high cost of borrow fees? That don't make any sense. If there's a lot of upside volatility, you charge a lot for your cost of borrow fees because you could potentially lose out on a lot of potential profits if AMC stock did rally. If you haven't been rallying and you've been falling for months, I mean, it makes sense to have lower cost of borrow fees. So those cost of borrow fees should increase if we do get that upside volatility. Now, let's switch gears. Let's look at the cost of borrow fees here today with AMC stock. We'll go ahead and pull it up so you guys have the most up-to-date information. Let this refresh itself. For today, for September 22nd, you have FTDs of, let's go ahead and see, 29.35 million. Starting on Monday, you're going to have FTDs of 25 million. On Tuesday, 36 million. On Wednesday, about 51 million. Then you really start to drop off. So over the next couple of trading days here, there is going to be, keep in mind this is an aggregate number, so there's going to be a lot of FTDs that come due with the T+35 settlement time. Now, I also want you guys to keep in mind the second half of September tends to be pretty bad for the broad markets. It's the worst 2-week period for the year in any given year. It's after quad witching in September. Why? Because your calendar year, your fiscal year tends to end for hedge funds and institutions, most of them at least, by the end of September. You start a new calendar year in October. Now, why is that important? Well, AMC stock has fallen a lot. There's a lot of short positions, and there is the potential that AMC stock could run here over the next couple of months, really the next year. So if you're looking at this on a risk to reward proposition, as long as you don't have an egotistical battle with the apes, you're looking at your AMC short position and you're saying, hey, should we cover on this position right now? It doesn't make sense to be in this after it's fallen, 99% from the highs. it makes sense to book those profits or take that loss in your fiscal year 2023 and get out of that position that is likely not going to benefit you into your fiscal 2024 year, which starts October 1st. So it makes sense why you're going to see a lot of volatility next week for AMC stock, and it makes sense why, in combination with the FTD numbers, in combination with some of the technicals we're going to go over, AMC stock could have a pretty healthy next week. Now, let's take a look at the charts here briefly, then we'll dive into everything else you guys need to know. AMC stock at the time of recording this video is now at $7.98 per share. $8 per share is a big level that I called out in the last video. Why? Because at the $8 call, you do have about 13,500 for open interest. At the $8 put, you have about 11,000 for open interest. So all in all, a couple million shares that would need to be bought by the hedge funds, institutions, and market makers if AMC stock did close above $8 per share, and that would set us up for at least a strong start to next week if you did have to see those millions of shares actually get bought back per the T+2 settlement time. So let's look at some of the charts here. Now, first thing I want you guys to take note of, AMC has been kind of bottoming out. It's been in this bottoming process for the last 2 trading weeks now. You're fighting with this 8-day moving average. You're finding this as resistance today. You never know. By the end of after hours, you could be above this. That 8-day moving average is at $8.08 per share. All I really care about is the fact that you are green today by over 3.5%, and it is a relatively strong day. That is great. Now, the MACD looks very, very positive, starting to curl up in a pretty big way. This yellow line and blue line are starting to diverge. That looks pretty dang good. And the RSI is about to break into a neutral range. You've been in an oversold level since back here on August 23rd. Back here on August 23rd, well, AMC stock, well, it dropped 13%. The day before that, AMC stock dropped 18%. The day before that, AMC stock dropped 24%. And a couple days prior to that, AMC stock had dropped 36% in one day. So you went oversold back here again on August 23rd. Technically August 22nd, but you were starting the day oversold August 23rd, and you have been oversold ever since. You have not been in a normal range. Once you get that RSI breaking into a normal range, you might see a lot more potential buyers stepping in. The algorithms might start to be a little bit more bullish or favorable towards AMC stock. That's a possibility. That's a probability that I would go with, that I would think is most likely, but it's not an ultimate guarantee. And I just think, again, your risk to reward, your risk premium here looks really good relative to even the broader markets, to other stocks out there. Question is simple. AMC stock has fallen a lot. Do you want to be the guy that steps in at the bottom of the barrel when nobody else wants to and buy the stock now after you've come down, you've tested support at 705, you're holding up very strong at about that $8 level? Well, odds are it's going to take a lot of pain in the markets to cause AMC stock to drop under $7.05 per share, your low that you did hit back here on September 11th. It's going to take a lot of red days to get that to happen. Even though the markets have been falling as of recently, while AMC stock has not been doing the same. You've been really flat over the last couple of trading days. Yesterday, you were down about 6% or 5.5%. The day before that, you were down 1%. But the day before that, you were up 6%. Today, you're up 3.5%. So when you net that out, you're pretty much trading higher than where you were even back here on August 18th, where the close of trading was $7.80. You're higher than that here today. You've been sideways for days, even though the broader markets have been coming down the past couple of days. So that is a really good sign for AMC stock. Like I said, heading into the new fiscal year for 2024 for hedge funds and institutions, it makes sense why next week could be quite the bullish week. Now, in regards to what's happening out there in the markets today, oil, let's see. Oil is now up 0.73% here on the day. This is putting some downside pressure here on the markets. Not great. Last we had looked at, oil was actually negative on the day a little bit. And keep this in mind, guys, we're heading into a recession. So every recession since post-World War II, you have seen a spike in oil before a recession. So you are definitely starting to get this spike. Oil has went from about $70 a barrel to over $90 now. This is the spike before the recession, at least it looks like, in my personal opinion. If you take a look at treasury yields, this is what is keeping somewhat of a bullish anchor on the markets today. 10-year treasury yields down 5 basis points, 2-year treasury yields down 4 basis points. This is because your manufacturing PMIs came in at 48.9. You were expecting 48, showing strong manufacturing momentum, but your global services PMI came in at 50.2, which missed expectations of 50.6. Services coming in weaker than expectations is great in this market environment, but I think the Fed made it very clear, unfortunately, we have to go into a recession or you're not going to get Fed rate cuts as long as GDP remains healthy. So there's really no win here to speak of. Inflation comes down, well, that's great. The Fed's not going to cut rates. If the economy goes down the poop chute, well, that's not great because the Fed's going to cut rates and the economy's in the poop chute. So there's no win-win. There's no good outcome here ultimately, but that initial kind of trading algorithmic reaction to this data is definitely a positive one here today. So there you have it. Now the US government shutdown, this could start fiscal year 2024, which does begin on October 1st, and it basically would furlough hundreds of thousands of federal workers without pay if Congress fails to provide funding, and this would include the military, this would include national parks, this would potentially include unemployment benefits as well, which would be an even worse problem for some of the strikers out there that we are seeing. Writers and actors strike, UAW strike, things of that nature. Thousands of workers getting laid off without supplemental income from a GM, Ford, or Stellantis, and the only income they basically have is from the U.S. government right now with the unemployment benefits. If the government shuts down, unemployment might shut down as well, and this could be a big tipping factor to lead the economy into a very bad situation. Could lead us into a recession pretty dang quickly, guys. So there is all of that. That's basically everything you need to know on the day today. Watch to see what the markets do towards the end of the day today. I think this government shutdown, possibility of a recession, is definitely something that is very relevant that the markets are going to start reacting to, especially heading into next week, guys. So that is going to go ahead and do it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. If you guys want to come trade with us, come hedge out your portfolios, come make some long trades, some short trades, we're doing a bit of everything. Link down below in the description of this video. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.